Well, good day, guys and gals, and welcome back to the channel. And let's take a good look at what we've pulled out of the Mini Metal Garage today. So, it's something that's after my own heart because my family owned one. We've got 1973 through 1977 A-body Chevelle Malibus, all right? We have no fewer than 3 different manufacturers here. We've got Matchbox, Zylemex, and also Greenlight. And we're going to show you some versions of all these. And you know what? Interestingly enough, I have at least one of every model year from that span I just said. So that's pretty cool. I don't know how that worked out, but there it is nonetheless. All right, so let's get into it. 1973, which was the first year of the all-new Chevelle. Kind of an interesting year because they had a lot of versions that year. There was a Plain Jane Deluxe, there was a regular Malibu, there was a Laguna, and there was also an SS model. So they had quite a few different models that year. And you could also get the Laguna in both, not just the coupe, but also both the wagon and the 4-door sedan. That would stop after the 1974 model launched. It would just be offered on the 2-door coupe only. So what do you say we start today in the bargain basement with the very cheap Zylemex version. Theirs is a 1973. It's got opening doors. And you know what? For a very cheap diecast, it's honestly not that badly done. I mean, I would have liked it better if they didn't make the entire front end chrome like that. But, you know, you get what you pay for. You know, my brother and I used to see these things for sale at Walgreens. And very overpriced. I mean, you could go to Toys R Us and get a really nice Hot Wheels or Matchbox for 99 cents. Walgreens had the audacity to charge you like $1.29 for one of these things here. My goodness. And like I said before, they weren't the best built ones, but you know, this one here isn't too bad. This was not in a blister because this car, when it comes original, it actually has this ridiculous sticker on the hood that says 427, and that's a joke because there was no 427 in the Chevelle offered in 1973. There was, however, a 454 you could get. So, you know, whoever put that sticker on there did not do their research, obviously, or else they just didn't care. But this particular example is the non-police version. There was a sheriff version. This is obviously the better version because, you know, I don't know of any single sheriff Chevelle that was a 2-door. So it's not bad. You know, you just got opening doors. This is an earlier version because it's got the older style wheels on it. And, you know, I'm going to turn that extra light on. Seems to help out with things. There we go. So we got a nice little black interior, not very detailed. I'm actually impressed with the way they replicated those triangular quarter windows. That was actually impressive. And no, the tail lamps were not rendered in red in the original. The owner I bought this from on eBay, he touched those up, and I thought that was a nice little thing to do. But this is not a bad model. This is very cheap. See, it says Chevelle hardtop. This has the Zylemex name on it. Made in good old Hong Kong there. All right. And I was actually quite impressed with the way the doors close on this. This one hangs up a little bit, as you can see. But, yeah, not the greatest, but still, though, it's a neat little model. I mean, how often back in those days did you see somebody do a, you know, A-body Chevelle in this particular generation? Almost wasn't heard of. All right, so now I'm going to show you a couple of Greenlight 1973s. The first one is going to be a very lovely green Laguna. You know, the strangest thing, you could not get the 454 in the Laguna, and I thought that was strange. I remember reading about that. But this is by Greenlight. As you know, they make very high quality castings. I'm going to tell you a little secret about the Greenlight versions of these cars. Every one of these versions of their cars comes with these extra tailpipes that are attached to the underside of the car, and they look absolutely like trash. So whenever I buy one of their Chevelles, I always remove those tailpipes because they look like absolute garbage. And they don't do anything for the looks of the car at all. So I take them off. And I think, honestly, they look so much better. And that's true of every single Chevelle from Greenlight that you see here. They are like that. This has an opening hood, but the problem is it won't stay open. In fact, that's the case of all of them. And there's also one there I flat out cannot get the hood open at all. But there you go. Nice little either 350 or 400 small block under there, finished in the Chevy orange. And you know, this one is the body style that my family had. Ours was a 1976. And oh, you know what? That might be the one I'm missing. No, I have a 76. It's just a Laguna. Okay. But 73 was the only year that had the Camaro and Corvette inspired round tail lamps. And the Laguna was noted for having this lovely body color urethane nose. All right. Now let me show you another version of a 73 Chevelle that you could get that year. You could also get, if you like, an SS. And this one you could get a 454 in. Not a particularly potent one. I mean, you certainly weren't going to be seeing the 450 horsepower LS6 in 1973. But what it did make, I think, was around 250 horse, and it still had a lot of torque. So it was a respectable performer. It's just that it had a lot more car to move at that point in time, too. This one is my absolute favorite because my family's 1976 was blue. It was a darker blue than this one, but still, I just love the fact that somebody took the time to make a lovely blue Chevelle in this body style. And ours did, in fact, have those triangular quarter windows just like that. The interior was about that color, I remember. And this is one of the ones I can't get the hood open. At least I don't think I can, yeah. This one I also removed the tailpipes from. Those hideous tailpipe tips. They're just absolute crapola. This is showing, it looks like a TH400 transmission pan on there. And I think this is depicting the Nova and Camaro rally wheels that you could get on these Chevelles back then. Yeah, very nice. All right, now let's take a look at a 1974. And this one is, let me clean it up a little bit. It actually looks a little dirty. It's been sitting underneath the canopy there for a while. So this is a 1974 Laguna. And I remember seeing that very color scheme on an ad in a magazine. Okay. Once again, you got the urethane body color nose. This one's got the more traditional rally wheels and their body color, which is a nice touch. Full white vinyl top. And, you know, once again, couldn't get the 454 in the Laguna, which I thought was strange. And there was no SS this year. But you could get a really nice interior that had swivel bucket seats. And, you know, I think the 74 is probably the least attractive, probably because I don't particularly like the tail lamp design on this. I thought that was a little bit unattractive. Front end's okay. Similar to the 73, this has a different grille pattern. I like how they did the matching interior on this. That was a nice touch. But, you know, of all the GMA bodies, the Chevelle was actually considered the least attractive. The Cutlass, the Century, and the Le Mans, they were actually far more attractive. They just had better sheet metal, I think. They didn't look quite as swollen, because these cars, unfortunately, they gained a lot of weight when they came out with this body style. And this body style was in response to the fact that GM thought they were going to have to meet some new rollover standards that when they first came out, but that ended up not happening. So we end up with these cars with these chunky roof lines and all that kind of good stuff. All right, now we're going to take a look at a 1975. I have two of those. These are also Lagunas. Let's put them both up here. They're identical twins. So these are by Matchbox. It's a casting from 1980, and I think this is one of the few, some of the last castings that came out of England with Lesney products before they moved the production to Macau. But how I ended up with two of these was I was looking for this particular model on eBay, and I came across this this die-cast place was having a liquidation, I guess, and they had both these cars mint in the blister for $18. And I said, you know what, that is a steal. So I bought it knowing I was going to get two. I have one on display here in the house, and I keep the other one in the garage because that's what I do with some of my doubles. They made several versions of this Chevelle, but this is the best version because the headlamps and the grille teeth, or I guess grille slat you would call it, is actually depicted. In the later models, they had that filled in, and it had this big goofy bumper up front, a big goofy bumper in the rear, and the spoiler was oversized and just really ugly. This is the best version. So it's got all the, you know, prototypical stock car pieces, you know, like the braces in the rear window, the little netting on the driver windows depicted there. This one's got the little vanes on the little small quarter window, or probably opera window is what you more likely want to call that. But I remember when my brother bought this many years ago, and we both really liked it. But yeah, once this version sold out, you couldn't really find this version anymore. All I had was, like I said, the kind of ugly versions. So there we go. We got two 1975 Chevelle Lagunas done up as stock cars. And oddly enough, Matchbox doesn't call this a Laguna stocker. They call it a Chevy Pro stocker. That's the name of it. So if you want to shop for that model on eBay, that's the what you want to put in your search window. All right, moving on to 1976. We're going to have another green light model. This is also a Laguna. And boy, the Laguna really was getting, I don't know, it wasn't a very popular car. 76 was the last year they offered it. Also, 1975, as you just saw there, was a final year for the big block to be offered in the Chevelle period. Still couldn't get it in the Laguna, though. This one's got the, you'll notice it's got what's called a canopy-style vinyl top depicted on it. It's got very pronounced slats on the rear window. And if you look really closely, you can probably see the little swivel bucket seat interior. Since it's white against the black, it has a nice contrast and it stands right out. This is also one of the few that if I tap on it, I can get the hood to open. But it won't stay open, so I got to hold it for you. So there you go, ubiquitous Chevy small block. 1976 will be the last year of the orange. In 77, they switched to a more corporate blue. I always liked the look of the 75 and 76 Laguna because they had that kind of slanted nose. I thought that was very cool. And this, of course, has the more traditional style rally wheels on it. It was very popular. And, of course, you can't go wrong with the black and gold. I mean, that was just oh so 70s. I think everybody was doing black and gold back then. No doubt thanks to the, Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am and its popularity. But yeah, it's another green light casting, and green light always does a very nice job. All right, the last one, we have a 1977 Malibu Classic. Now, let's take a look at that for a minute. You Gen Xers recognize that car. Yeah, you know what movie that car's from. You know what movie had that car in it. You know what actor was in it. That's right. It's from Say Anything, starring John Cusack. That's the car he drove in the movie. And you remember the iconic scene where he's serenading the woman with the boombox raised above his head, and the car is behind him, very visible. To be honest with you, I think this version by Greenlight's a lot cleaner than his was. This actually has a really nice paint job on it. I think they clear coated it. Now, I have to confess something to you. So, this came out of what's called, it was in a blister pack, and this came out of what was called the, get this, the Garbage Pail Kids series. God, remember those atrocious things? They were like a, irreverent nod to the Cabbage Patch Kids in the 80s, and they were just atrocious. They were like trading cards, and they were just so ugly. Why, for the love of God, why Greenlight chose to feature this car in the Garbage Pail series, I'll never know. But I hated even buying the thing. I couldn't wait to cut it out of the blister and throw away that awful pack with that ugly sticker. So, you remember in the movie, it had these weird push bars on it. I don't know why. I remember the wheels were blacked out. And, I think they did a better job on the tail lamps on this one than they did the 76. They just look a lot better. But yeah, it's got a really nice paint finish. I was impressed with that. When I opened it up, I was like, wow, look at the finish on that thing. So in 1977, that was the final year of the, slightly rotund A-body Chevelle. There was only two engines offered, a 305, well, at least two V8 engines that I'm thinking of. I think the six-cylinder was still offered on the base one. But there were two V8s only, a 305 two-barrel and a 354 barrel. That was all that was left. And after that, it got downsized. This was the final year of the kind of dreadnought-sized Chevelle. But there you go. A-body Chevelles, 1973 to 1977. My family had a beautiful, like a sapphire blue, 1976, and we had it for a lot of years. Very durable car. Some of the interior pieces didn't hold up too good. I remember that was a problem with GMs back then. But I'm glad you guys are enjoying the comments. Right now, while the channel is small, I can, readily respond to your comments and read through them. And I've been keeping track of the videos that get the views, and I see the content you guys seem to really like, and it pleases me. I'm glad you guys are enjoying everything, and I'm just going to keep on making videos for you. All right? So in the meantime, enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. You take care now.